2025 session. So, from local innovation to global impact, the rise of health biotechnologies in Latin America. I am Márcio de Paula. I am the founder of the Brazilian Health Innovation Institute, IBIS, an organization dedicated to connecting innovators, startups, investors, and institutions to accelerate health and biotech ventures in Brazil and across Latin America. At IBIS, we believe collaboration is our most powerful form of innovation, and this panel perfectly reflects that spirit. Researchers, entrepreneurs, and investors working together to turn regional science into global impact. So today we'll explore how Latin American biotechnology is moving from discovery to market, overcoming systemic barriers and proving that scientific excellence can emerge from anywhere. And before we begin, just a quick note to our audience. So please feel free to send your questions for the speakers in the chat at any time during the session. We will address them toward the end of our conversation. So it's a great pleasure to introduce our distinguished speakers. Dr. Leandro Agatti is CEO and co-founder of Science Valley Research Institute. It's a clinical research network that operates over 40 ongoing studies across Brazil and Portugal. Leandro will share insights from two pioneering programs, a novel therapy for varicose veins and lipedema, entirely developed in Brazil, and the Cloudy Boat Project focuses on improving outcomes for patients with intermittent claudication. It's a condition that affects millions of people globally. Dr. Gabriela Westerland, she's a director at BZ Health Partners and BioZeus Biopharmaceuticals. It's a company that bridges academia and industry to bring novel Brazilian molecules to the global pharma market. So Gabriela will present a case of radical innovation in erectile dysfunction based on a patent peptide platform that introduced a new therapeutic mechanism of vascular and sexual health and discuss how BioZeo supports innovation transfer from local research institutions to commercialization. And last but not least, Dr. Carlos Javier Almesiga Diaz. He is a professor at Pontificia Universidad Javeriana and co-founder of Dogma Biotech, a QB3 UC Berkeley accelerated startup leveraging AI-driven glyco engineering to design supercharged protein therapies. So Dogma's technology enables pharma partners to develop biologics 10 times faster and 5 times cheaper, overcoming long-standing barriers such as the blood-brain barrier. So thank you all for joining. It's an honor to have such an exceptional panel representing Latin American innovation as its best. So to start, each of you will have up to 5 minutes for opening remarks. Afterward, we'll move into an open discussion and audience Q&A. And again, for those joining us online, feel free to share your questions for the speakers in the chat at any point. We'll come back to them before we close. Let's begin. So, Leandro Agatti. Leandro, Science Valley is a great example of how Latin America can lead a translational clinical research. You are advancing two ambitious programs, one targeting varicose veins and lipedema, and another tackling intermittent claudication through the Cloudy Boat project. So, could you please share how these projects illustrate a fully Brazilian innovation model from molecule synthesis to clinical development, and what lessons you have learned building this ecosystem from the ground up, Leandro?
Good. Well, thank you, first of all, for the invitation and for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here collaborating and discussing with fellows from our area at BIOLATAM Digital 2025. So, to begin, I will share I think it's best for us to show them. Can you see my screen here, Marcio?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, perfect. So Science Valley, as you mentioned, we are we are CRO based in Brazil. This is our main tool for development. So this is key for our drive of bringing new molecules to the market and invest in clinical development. So for those who does not know us, we work for many pharmaceutical companies, more than 100 right now, and we have 29 research sites across Brazil area, and lots of partnership with clinical sites from New York and Chicago, Portugal, and Asia, and also East Europe. Our main expertise is indeed performing high impact clinical trials, Marcel. So we do have lots of papers in Nature, JAMA, New England that shows our quality and assures the team that work with us. And I mean, this is our international recognition. I mean, we are internationally recognized. This is one of our projects that we call in investigator-initiated research. This is a registry of endocrine changes in midlife women. We are targeting now trying to understand menopause women. This is just an example, guys, of what Science Valley does. And this is where we come and how we face our challenges. The rationale for us to bring, for example, Cloudable that you mentioned, and also our project for varicose veins is having the network of hospitals that can easily perform from phase 1 to phase 4, and our experience of being global recruit for many pharmaceutical clinical trials and doing IIR, so investigator initiation research, and also successful registrations at Anvisa, and all the partnerships that we have with many academic environments such as University of Aveiro, Loyola, UIC, Michigan, and NASP. We have right now 8 projects in pipeline, from radical to incremental innovation. And what I would like to highlight is the 2 projects that Marcio mentioned. So Cloudable was an incremental innovation that we are developing, and we sold the patent to a pharmaceutical company in Brazil, so a local pharmaceutical company. We are now submitting the dossier to Anvisa. We had the last parlatory, so the last call with them last month. And another project, that the one that you mentioned, that we presented the partnership at CPHI Europe last month, it's the varicose vein project. This is a unique project that the whole development, since the concept of the idea, the synthesis of the API, and also the development program is going to be fully in Brazil, Marcel. So here, I think for all my colleagues that are here, what I can say that the challenge is one, to find reliable partners. And in our case, Sim Pharma is already a client and saw the opportunity of jumping into an innovational product and project, and also bringing like Nortec, that it's an API manufacturer that also accepted the challenge and is performing for us the synthesis of a crystal that will be patent next year. If you have any question, guys, I will be glad to answer. And I mean, this is, I think, what drives us as scientists and entrepreneurs, that it's collaborating with companies that are reliable, that share the same the same goals. And also, when we are facing regulatory challenges, also we have a close connection, close communication with our regulatory agency, so we can start building development programs that are aligned with what our regulatory agency is expecting to receive as a regulatory document.
So thank you, Leandro. Thank you also for being so sharp on the timing. So that's great.
Thank you.
So I now would like to hear a little bit from Gabriela Westerland from BioZeus and BZ Health Partners. So Gabriela, BioZeus has built a remarkable model connecting Brazilian research institutions to the global pharma market. So please Tell us about your innovative peptide therapy for erectile dysfunction, which represents a truly radical innovation in this field. And please also share how BioZeus has positioned itself as a bridge between academia, development partners, and investors.
Sure, of course, with pleasure. I just share also a presentation. There's only three slides, so you can follow my rationale here. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you again for the invitation, Marcio. It's really, I think, really interesting this initiative of BIOLATAM, and I'm glad to be a part of this. So BioZeus actually was created as a form to be a bridge between innovation, the university, and the market. So we understand. I'll just put in presentation mode so you can see the full slides. Can you see the whole presentation?
Yeah, we are seeing one of your slides.
They are moving the slides.
Yeah, they're moving.
Okay, great. So as I was saying, we understand that academia is actually the birth of innovation, right? So we have the researchers doing all the discoveries and creating new entities and new molecules and or incremental innovation. So we Bezos actually followed mapped innovation all over Brazil to understand which ones we could actually invest. So we are supported by a venture capital. We have a mixed private and public fund in this venture capital. And we build a highly specialized team that is capable of mitigating the risk with regards to value of that. So when we think about biotech or startups, we understand there is a moment in the development, which is actually in the translation of development, that we have this value of that. And usually this can occur by a lot of reasons, but one of them is the lack of funds, which is necessary to actually move the innovation from the academia world to the pharmaceutical industry. So what we try to do over the past decade is actually to invest in this moment to de-risk the project and make it more suitable for the pharmaceutical industry. So by doing that, after we mapped all over Brazil many innovations, we actually chose to follow on with one specifically, so which is the BZ371 platform. So this platform consists of peptides, which are known to be nitric oxide synthase enhancers, and they are applied topically and can address different diseases. So we have our lead program, which is sexual dysfunction. We have also a target with eye diseases and also the one with lung diseases. And the history of the discovery of this platform is actually very moving. And the discovery is from the spider toxin. So we have in Brazil and in other regions of Latin America spider, which is called the armor spider. The species is Phoneutria nigriventer. And this spider has a toxin that, when inoculated in boys, caused priapism. So Dr. Maria Helena, which is a researcher from the Federal University of Minas Gerais, actually made this observation, was very interested about it like 15 years ago. And she and her group was able to actually design and engineered a molecule, a peptide from this toxin, right? So they created this 19 amino acid peptide, which has the first patent of which is the first patent of this project. And from this patent, we licensed the technology so we could develop it until clinical trials, and then license out to a pharmaceutical that was interested to make this technology globally. So we also reach for the global markets because our dream was to get innovation from Brazil and actually show it to the world, right? So that was our goal. And sorry, I don't know why. Okay, here. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. So our lead program is actually targeting two main diseases, which is erectile dysfunction in men and female sexual arousal interest disorder, which is a sexual dysfunction in women. We have just concluded our phase 2 clinical trials with very good results. We're very happy about it. And what our drug does is actually induces nitric oxide in these muscle cells in the cavernosal tissue. So men and women has cavernosal tissue in their genital organs. And by doing that, we stimulate the relaxation of smooth muscle cells. Well, cavernosal tissue is a smooth muscle. And in men, it will induce erection, and in women, will induce the engorgement of labia and clitoris and vaginal lubrication. So we targeted at first the post-radical prostatectomy population in men, so men that was submitted to radical prostatectomy due to prostate cancer, which is a very high unmet medical need. So those men, they are not effectively addressed by Viagra, sildenafil, and other PDE5 inhibitors currently in the market. So our goal is to reestablish their erectile function. And for female was actually a very astounding result. We were very surprised with the result and very happy. So because we see a shift in the world, in the health tech world, in which we can see more and more investments in women's health. And for the female sex arousal disorder, we don't have any drug currently in the market. So this could be a first in class, not only a first in class, but a blockbuster for this type of indication. So we are moving forward with these developments and now discussing business developments and collaboration with international partner. Our target is to license out this technology, but also we have a second plan to raise funds and keep going with this development until registration here in Brazil, and then sell the registration for other pharmaceuticals abroad. So this is our technology, and once again, thank you very much.
So thank you, Gabriela, for this very nice and thoughtful explanation in such a short time. So congratulations on summing up such a great technology. So now I would like to invite Carlos Javier from Dogma Biotech. So Dogma Biotech stands out from its cutting-edge work at the intersection of AI and protein glycoengineering. So Javier, your platform seems to redefine how we think about biologic drug design. Could you please explain how your team uses data-driven models to optimize glycosylation and accelerate development timelines for next-generation therapies?
Okay, so thank you so much for the invitation. Just to confirm, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's working. Yeah, thank you. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity to share our technology. As she was saying, I'm Javier Almesiga. I'm full professor at Javeriana University here in Bogota, Colombia, and I'm co-founder and CSO of Dogma Biotech. And at Dogma, we are working on engineer superior biotherapeutics to advanced glycosylation. So I will explain a little bit about this type of specific thing. But you may hear about biotherapeutics. I think I need to get deeper in this. These are like complex molecules, including enzyme and antibodies that are produced by living organisms, and they represent about 42% of the global market, a pharmaceutical market, and they will surpass like chemically synthesized drugs by 2027. So it's an important market, but these type of molecules, they have limitations because most of these biotherapeutics need a specific modification that is called glycosylation. That basically is the process to add sugars to the proteins. And glycosylation is a process that is necessary to control most of the properties of a biotherapeutic, including the physicochemical properties, the safety, and the pharmacological properties of biotherapeutics. The problem is that the impact of this modification on the biotherapeutic is barely explored. So, and, and the reason for that is that currently, most of the pharmaceutical industry use only one strategy, right? One size fits all strategy, basically using the same platform for producing all the proteins with the same glycosylation, regardless of the properties of the protein. There is not a specific system that can design glycans, and that limits our understanding of the impact of glycosylation. But also, associated with this is a reduced number of glycan structures that have been studied. So we cannot fully understand how the glycan is affecting the properties of a protein. In addition, we cannot like have like developing new proteins with novel characteristics. And finally, one of the most important thing is that uh, the current strategies to produce proteins with glycosylation produce a structures with a high variability. So, and that's definitely have a negative impact on the characteristics of the therapeutic. So, at Dogma, we are solving this problem by combining the power of AI with biological systems that can allow us to produce this novel biotherapeutic. So basically, our strategy center on the property of an AI motor for glycan discovery that we call glycopredict, and then we designs a set of enzymes. We engineered a set of enzymes that can allow us to generate those lichen structures inside our platform. And then we translate that to a yeast. That is the system that we use to produce the proteins. So we glycoengineer the yeast to produce the proteins with enhanced lichens and functionality. So if we compare with other companies or other strategies on the market, most of them use also yeast to produce this type of proteins or of lichens, but at the end they are only like doing one structure. So at the end they are producing the same cell structure. So other things can be explored. So in our company, we can maintain the human capability of those lichens with high production yield, but also offering a wide range of lichens structures that will give us novel properties or novel functions for these lichens. So our first asset was for an enzyme for a rare disease. The preclinical validation of this asset that was in fact doing in collaboration with an European pharma company showed that this has enhanced biodistribution, stability, chronically glycosylation homogeneity, and also an improved therapeutic index. So from this point, we have expanded our pipeline to 5 therapeutic enzymes. We have successfully scaled and validated our proteins with partners around the world. During the last year, we started working with one of the largest Colombian biopharmaceutical companies. And I think one of the most important thing is that we have received support like for very important organizations, including Berkeley QB3 program, relevant investors from Latin America, on per capital, Aceleroratam, and of course from our government, from the Ministry of Science and Innovation of Colombia. Currently, one of the most important markets, probably you already know, is a huge market of about $500 billion. And right now we are on the lysosomal disease space, but in the coming years we will expand our platform to produce other therapeutics such as blood enzymes or monoclonal antibodies. Our business model is based on 2 arms. First, focus on the development of our pipeline, and the other is to co-development with biopharma partners to develop new assets and share the intellectual property and royalty agreements. So our team, this is part of our team. This is our team with expertise in recombinant proteins, glycosylation, bioinformatics, commercialization, and business strategy. I think that's all. Thank you so much. And we are Dogma, and we are innovating to ensure the future of a novel.
Yes, thank you very much for your nice presentation. And so it's such a great platform. So we can foresee from the examples we have brought today how Latin America is flourishing in terms of technology, converting academic knowledge into addressable medical needs. So I'm very glad to have the opportunity to talk to all of you guys. So thank you all for these insightful presentations, and let's open the floor for discussion. I have a first core question. I will call it core because it's we have lots of difficulties to develop new drugs in Latin America, and this is quite new. I think this movement and the development of a real ecosystem here, a biotech ecosystem is it's something very new. So I would like to hear from all of you three. We know that Latin America's biotech sector often operate with limited resources, and yet your projects prove that scientific excellence can thrive here. So, what unique conditions or cultural factors in our region do you guys believe have been essential to your success? I would like to invert the order right now and start with Javier if possible, and so then Gabriela and finish with Leandro.
Well, Marshall, I think from the from COVID, it became more like obvious that we need to develop our own capacities in our region and in countries with similar situation, like Colombia or other countries in Latam and uh, other parts of the world. And in that sense, at least in Colombia, the government and some other investors and pharma start looking inside the country and in our universities to find the researchers, to find the technologies, to find what we have. And at that moment, they noticed that we have high, like top quality researchers that we were like innovating, and we start thinking, and they start like thinking why is here and why we can find these things here and not in other parts of the world. And I think, as you mentioned, we we are able to perform high innovation with limited resources. So we start creating the capacity to have a high creative thinking, finding the way to create new things to solve the problems that we have with so limited resources, and finding again all other things such as the time and that we need to import most of the regions. Uh, so finding the way to find against all those problems gave us the opportunity to be really creative, and the result of that is that we can generate like very innovative solutions to local problems that could be applied globally. So I think, from my point of view, is how can the creative way that we can solve all the problems.
So the necessity is the mother of innovation. You're basically saying that. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you for the reply. So let me hear Gabriela's point of view on that.
Yeah, sure. So as Carlos was saying, I think that Latin American people, we are very resilient people, right? Resilient and creative. We joke that Brazilians don't give up, right? So we actually adapt to survive, and this adaptation lead us to finding solutions for very challenging problems. So basically, from my personal experience, we at Bezos managed to reach this point because we were able to create a very strong team. So I think we have a very committed team, competent, skilled. So we have a solid background in regulatory, in drug development expertise, clinical development expertise. I think maybe Leandro will agree with me. We have collaboration with very trustworthy partners. So these allow us to make this network because alone we cannot thrive, right? So we had to build this strong network of collaborations and people that are really committed to the results. And because we have this solid base, we could have less expensive development. So for clinical trials, for example, we went to clinical research institution and we just established all the good clinical practice. We trained the team. We managed the clinical trials ourselves as sponsors. We did not hire CROs to do it. We did it ourselves. So this was a very good way to manage the budget. Also for regulatory expertise, I learned regulatory. I had to learn everything. I am the specialist in regulatory in our team because we didn't want to invest money, hiring consultants and everything. Of course, we may hire some specialists to revise our material, but our dossier, it's our team. We are writing it. from the clinical protocol to the dossier for Anvisa, manage the parliamentary, the meetings with Anvisa, all of it that does. So by doing that, we could make a very effective and less costly development. So this is basically what I would like to say: team and collaboration.
Oh, those are great words actually. So I think collaboration is key on doing that. And we're gonna have like a second question on specific on collaboration. So keep the word on that. Let's just hear Leandro's opinion. So Leandro, Gabriela mentioned the cost of clinical trials here that are not as expensive and as in other countries, and also our creativity and the necessity, the need that Javier mentioned that we gotta make it work somehow. Although we don't have all the tools, we gotta make it work. So let us learn and do it. And so, do you agree with that? What is your opinion? And so, how could you guys thrive in an environment that is really difficult to proceed with radical and even incremental innovation?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, complementing both colleagues, so I agree with them. So it's very challenging to work with a very restricted budget to innovate. You know that here in Latin America we don't have the same resources as US, so in US or even Europe. But as for the creativity side, I would like to highlight four things that are important for us in this particular situation as Latin America countries that we have to consider. First, for high risk projects, we have to count on public investment in grants. So grants are very important. So anytime you are going to invest your time and your team resources in a project, you have to check, is this important and for my country, and can I apply for a grant? This is very good because you will take the first part of the risk of a project. This is important. Two, track record. Your team must have track record in that particular area. So if you are an expert in cardiovascular, you have a huge team on that, lots of publication, this counts a lot for that. So this is important for you to have a track record with publications in the area. Three, synergy with your partners. So the partners that we have found here, Marcio, we saw synergy, and they are all share the same interest of bringing the innovation to the from bench to bedside. So bringing the patent to the market. And I think the last one, as a company, so as a small company that we are as Latin America countries, we must deliver our projects. So it's important for us. We should deliver everything that we are hired. So, I mean, all of us here have many projects that we have deliverables to attend, and we must not miss that. That's it.
Yes, a great complementation from what our colleagues have said, and I think one of the restrictions that we have in terms of funding sometimes is overcome by doing partnerships, and this is something that Brazilians love to do, and Latin America has a great connections of uh, several academic institutions, and sometimes we have also some good public and private partnerships. So, but let us move forward because we have just a very tiny time to conclude our discussion here. And I just would like to understand you all, you three have started your careers with strong academic roots. I would like to understand what is the most difficult stage in transforming academic innovation into a viable biotech company. I am in this market, I guess, from 25 years, and I have heard of great discoveries in academia that just disappeared because they lack the knowledge, the infrastructure, the regulatory savvy to navigate. So you are thriving this. So, but you came from an academic environment. How do you guys do that, and what are the most difficult you have accomplished to transform this academic vision into some more entrepreneurial in health, which is one of the most difficult markets to enter. So, Leandro, if you wish, you can continue. So, and we can move after to Carlos and Gabriela.
Okay. I mean, there is no right recipe for this. This is very, I mean, it has it's a lot of features that it has to, they have to appear for you. I mean, they have to happen, but I will believe that it's important for us as scientists when, and to thrive in our, as entrepreneurs, is to try to follow at least what US scientists are doing there, because in our country, so Brazil, and I think you and Gabriela also know that our academia is basically focused on papers, on publication, and not in commercial products. And in the US, it's the opposite. If you don't, if you are not working on something that will go to the market soon, or at least has a huge potential, and there is no opportunity for your lab to thrive there. And here is different, at least in Brazil. So I see that my part of my doctor's degree I did there in the US, and I think that it's important for us to consider what was the key for success for many biotech companies in the US thrive and have such success, and here we are still starting. I mean, just this is a model that we have to use as a rule. Every product has to, from since the beginning, since the idea, you have to check what is the market share, and how can you, what are the timeline to reach that. And of course, and if you have collaborations that can benefit, that will be great, because this is huge part of success. It's collaborations, Marcio.
Very good. So, Carlos, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Leandro in terms of in Colombia is similar in terms of mostly we focus here on the paper, and recently we are start moving to the business side. And for me, that was the most difficult part, to translate our science into a company. You can have a good science or you can have even patents, but that doesn't mean that you will get a successful company. You mentioned already, Marshall, too. uh, People think that if you get a patent, you will receive some money, and it's not like that. You need to learn a lot of things. I'm a pharmacist by training, PhD on science, so no idea of business. So I need to learn all the other things to create a business plan, vision, specific things that I really don't understand yet, like unit economics. All those things that are hard for my science mind, brain, but in 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 that sense, for us was like really helpful to have a CEO, a person that was completely in charge of that part. So I'm doing the science. I'm still doing beautiful science, amazing science, but I have a CEO that is with the expertise, and sometimes even more important, the time to create all those things, to work on all those things, and to have the contact with investors, and to that he understand how the investors think. It's hard for us. It was because sometimes I'm start talking with investor and start thinking about glycosylation, the sugar, the position, and they start looking at me like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" So I need to start to. So at that moment, I say, okay, you continue, and he start translating that thing, that science, to a business. So why that science is important for a company or for an investor, and as a scientist, we need to learn that. And of course, the business part, Sergio is he has an MBA, so he he need to understand science. So he have to read all the papers because he need to talk with investors. Sometimes some of them have PhD or are scientific training. So like in summary, is the things that we need to learn as a scientist to help our technology to be on the back of the patient. That at the end is the purpose of all the things that we do, at least in our lab. And
No, it's great. Yeah, we have to like to build a plane while it's flying. So that's basically that. But thank you for your thoughtful response. So, Gabriela, you are the last. It's the last comment of our session that we are coming to an end. But I would like to hear what you have to say because I have heard of this project long ago from the academia, and so how could you
Yeah.
could be able to take this and transform in something that can go to the market after all?
Sure. So I agree with the colleagues. Entrepreneur culture for scientists, right, is very important. Business education. But I will bring something else, right? That's I don't heard a lot people saying about it, which is quality, right? So in academia, innovation is measured, as they said, by publications and patents. But in biotech, the value is actually measured by the data you generate, the quality of the data you generate, and if it is under regulatory and clinical standards, right? So we have good laboratory practice, we have good clinical practice, good manufacturer practice. So sometimes we have a great innovation in the university, a great discovery, we have good proof of concepts in rats, but they are made in the lab in the university, that doesn't have standard operational procedures sometimes, or they are just the researchers are more focused on the discovery and how they will publish that than actually thinking about how can I make this a product. And this comes again from this educational in business, but also in the quality requirements that we need to follow when we think about developing a drug, right? So I think this is it's a very important feature. Sometimes we have a great drug that works in the university environment, but then we do the first toxicological GLP study and it fails. So we need to have if I could recommend something to the researchers, maybe there's researchers that are listening to us here, is like try to make a standard of quality in your lab, procedures that can be followed, and ensure that your result is very clean, so you can guarantee a success after it. So this would be my talk. Thank you.
So this is like a $1 million advice. So the focus on quality is, yeah, it's king. So we
Yeah,
don't hear people saying that usually. So it's really important to remark. And so thank you for your contribution on that sense, Gabriela.
sure.
But unfortunately, we're running out of time. So I would like to thank Leandro, Gabriela, and Javier for sharing your stories, your science, and your vision for a stronger Latin America biotech ecosystem. And what we have seen today is that innovation in our region is not only alive, but it's maturing, it's industrializing, and building full production chains capable of global impact. So, on behalf of IBIS, the Brazilian Health Innovation Institute, it's been a pleasure moderating this session. And I encourage everyone to continue the dialogue and connect through the BioLatam Partnering Platform, which remains open until November the 14th. So thank you all, and please enjoy the rest of BioLatam 2025. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you
Have a
so much.
nice
Thank
day.
you all. Nice.
Bye.
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 Thank you all. Thank you, Master, for moderating the session. It was an excellent session. Thank you.
A pleasure.
thank you, Steve. Pleasure. Bye.
Bye.